What's up, everybody? Good evening this time, and welcome to another special edition of Coast to Coast College Football Pregame Show. I'm your host, Uncle Shally. You call me Scholastic Shally. Tomorrow night, you'll be able to call me back-to-back-to-back Big Ten champion Shally. But for now, we're going to get into the show real quick this evening. We don't miss any shows here, so we got to hop on here, and we pride ourselves on previewing every game. All these games matter, so we don't want to miss anything for you guys. So we hopped on here again tonight to preview the Conference USA championship game, and obviously the big one later this evening in the world's biggest Roomba out in Las Vegas, the Pac-12 championship game between Oregon and Washington. So before we get started, let me introduce you to the two guys that help me steer the ship as always every week. Mr. Cottrell Simpson out in Ohio, my Buckeye brother from another mother. How are you, sir? How's your Friday?
Pretty good Friday. Had to rep the black today. Pretty depressing. My football team's not playing this weekend. You guys got the luxury of watching your team today and tomorrow, and I'm sure I got to hear all about it. So I'm gonna be in my black. I'll be depressed over here, but good Friday though.
Good Friday. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Chomping at the bit to finally, hopefully, secure a college football playoff berth later this evening. Because if he doesn't, it's going to be a long show tomorrow for you two fellows. I'm going to tell you that right now. But Mr. West Coast himself, Mr. Oregon Duck himself, Mr. Black Alex Elmore, how are you today, sir?
I'm good, man. I've been up since the crack of dawn waiting on this game, staring at the clock. It's almost that time. I got my game face already on, Black ready to go. Gonna get some food cooking here soon. I'm pumped and ready. I can't wait to knock those Huskies down a peg and get myself to the college football playoff, baby. Let's go.
Well, I know you're chomping at the bit. I'm a little jealous that you're still in the afternoon while me and Cottrell are in the early evening.
It's dark as shit here.
Not wrong. It's dark. It's raining. It's miserable and cold here in PA. So, but I know you're chomping at the bit to talk about that game and break it down and give us your prediction, which we all know what it's going to be. But before that, like I said, we cover all games here. So we're gonna start with the Conference USA game between the Liberty. What are they? I think they're the Flames. Are they the Flame?
Yes,
and the New Mexico State Aggies. These two teams actually met earlier in the year, and I believe Liberty won pretty big, actually.
33-17.
17, yeah. Listen, Liberty has a kid and their quarterback. He's a star. He's probably one of the better quarterbacks that you don't know about in Caden Selver. Can throw the ball, dual threat quarterback, very good athlete. They're undefeated again. This is the second time in 3 years they're going to the final weekend of the season undefeated. Liberty has slowly and very quietly built a very good football program since coming up to D1. New Mexico State Aggies, coached by another guy with Big Ten ties and Jerry Crow, relies on their defense, create turnovers into points. Very solid football team. You see Conference USA is clearly all over the place because Liberty, I believe, is in Virginia. New Mexico State, these conferences are just all over the goddamn place anymore. But what do you guys think about this game? How do you think it plays out? I feel very strongly about this game, so I want you guys to discuss it first. But I feel very strongly one way on this one.
Cottrell, take it away, baby.
Yeah, so I feel pretty strongly about this one as well. I think earlier in the season was a very key factor in how this game plays out. Liberty is clearly the better football team here, and New Mexico State, give them props for making it here for sure. But I do think this Liberty team does take care of business, and I think they win this game rather convincingly. Now, I don't know what the spread on this game specifically is, but I definitely think Liberty wins by at least 2 possessions. And the other thing that's kind of going for Liberty here is that, of course, they do need a little bit of help. But, I mean, with the Tulane loss, they won this game. They might be finding themselves in a New Year's Six bowl game as an at-large, one of those group of 5 teams. So I think Caden Salter and company are going to take care of business. And the other thing that you guys haven't mentioned yet is their running back, Quentin Cooley. he's been phenomenal pretty much all year. He has, I think close to 1,300 yards so far this year. They have a really balanced attack, and Caden doesn't turn the ball over. So I think for New Mexico State to keep this game close, they are going to have to force Liberty to turn the ball over, because if they don't steal some possessions here, I think Liberty is going to be able to run it up and easily score, 30 plus points again in this championship game.
So the spread's 10.5 as we sit right now, about 20 minutes before kickoff.
Yeah, yesterday I was looking at the spread, and I caught it at plus 11 at plus 115, and I did not jump on it. And you guys feel pretty heavily towards Liberty. I feel pretty opposite, to be completely honest with you. I've been looking over these two teams. I've been checking out the numbers. Honestly, New Mexico State's been really hot lately, with racking off 7 straight wins, including in a complete upset in Auburn, 31-10. One thing about this New Mexico State team that we don't talk about a lot is Diego Pavia. All right, we were talking all this talk about Caden Salter. Diego Pavia is the exact same style of quarterback. All right, he's got 2,700 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, and he also has 806 yards on the ground as well. So Diego and New Mexico State right now are averaging 206 yards per game on the ground. They definitely have the capability of kind of controlling the clock and kind of really limiting Liberty's possessions and Caden Salter's offensive potency in this game. In the previous meeting, the score was 33-17. However, when you look at that game, New Mexico State had 3 turnovers in that game. They were very costly, 2 of them in Liberty territory. So if they can kind of control the clock, get the ball, or run the ball on the ground like they've been able to do all season, and limit those costly turnovers, New Mexico State can make this a game. And I think that tonight at midnight, Liberty's Cinderella story run is over, and I got New Mexico State winning by 3.
So I think, kind of before you go, Bill, I think the one point that kind of gets lost there, I think, is that they definitely had success running with their quarterback, but as a whole, they didn't have a lot of success earlier on in that game against Liberty. Now, I know that game was way back when. Like, at that point in time, I didn't even know how good this Liberty team was. I think it was like week 3 or week 2. It was early September time. So I think both teams have improved since then. I guess my biggest question mark is Liberty had a lot of success running against this New Mexico State team, and New Mexico State didn't have their running game going with their running back. Now, of course, like I said, their quarterback had some success there, but in terms of controlling the pace, like, I think they absolutely need to steal some possessions here to keep up with that Liberty offense.
Oh, I completely agree with you on that. Bill, before you go real quick, I just want to say one quick thing about when control throughout. These are totally different teams. You are 100% correct. But Liberty has been going the opposite direction, allowing 25 or more points in 5 of the last 6 games. New Mexico State is coming into this game with a 21st ranked defense, only allowing 19.7. Numbers don't lie, and I see what I see. So I'm thinking this is going to be a nice little upset today.
Not so fast, my friend. You got to go back. You got to go back to the last 3 or 4 games and see that Liberty's won by 30 points, and a lot of those points were given up by their backups. So I think the one thing that Cottrell brought up to me, which is kind of an underlying factor here, which I really like, is Liberty is still holding out hope here that that they can make the New Year's Six. So all they need is a win tonight, and then they got to hope that tomorrow that SMU can upset Tulane, because if they do, they're going to be the highest ranked Group of 5 team. And they're going to go to a New Year's 6 day bowl game. So that is a big deal. Obviously, we've seen it in the past, but anytime you get a little program like that, going up against the major guys from the major conferences, it's always a good, fun matchup. And sometimes we get surprises. Sometimes you get games, one of the best games of the century, and like in a Boise State, Oklahoma type setting. So those things are always fun. I agree with Cottrell. I'm probably a little bit in between you guys, to be honest. I think Liberty wins. I don't think they cover. I actually think this is a little bit of a lower scoring game than maybe Vegas thinks. If I had to bet on either side of the over under, I think it might go under, because I do think the Aggies, if they don't turn the ball over as much as they did in the first meeting, I do think they're going to possess the ball, and I think they're going to take a lot of time off the clock. Liberty does obviously have the ability to quick strike and rip off big chunk plays. because of their quarterback, because of their running back. They do run the ball well. They can pop play action as well. They're a very dangerous offensive team. They really are. So I like Liberty. Maybe not to cover, like I said, maybe by one possession, 89 points, somewhere in there. But I think Liberty wins tonight. They win the Conference USA Championship, and then they get together tomorrow and pop some popcorn, and they become really, really big SMU fans tomorrow afternoon.
I just think it's very interesting for Liberty to find themselves in this spot, because all year we've been talking about these teams that deserve to be in the top 25. Like Liberty at this point is 100% one of those teams. Of course, Tulane as well. But it's kind of funny knowing what we know now about that James Madison team. Like, had they beaten Appalachian State, like I wonder, one, where they'd be at in terms of these rankings. And now that they are one of those teams that are bowl eligible, like if a Tulane team had, we'll talk about Tulane's game tomorrow, but if that Tulane team does lose, like, be crazy to go see how James Madison would go from this school that wasn't even able to play in a bowl game to really being the deserving team to play in the New Year's Six bowl game.
I agree. I mean, I've been with you on this from the get-go, and it's part of a bigger discussion of how, the NCAA, there are just certain rules that are so old that need to be looked at and reworked, and and I'm not even getting into the other mess, but there's so many things that the NCAA does wrong with college football. I really wish at some point all these guys would just get into a room and be like, this is what we want, and this is what you're going to do, or we're just you're gone. And they would really have no choice. Like these football teams make the NCAA so much money. It's incredible. To go back to like the little things too. Like, I don't know if you saw like with the whole, Delaware thing, they're making Delaware pay $5 million just to apply so they can play D1 next year. Like it's just stupid. Like I said, I'm not going to go off on a tangent or anything, but we will have this topic on another show for a different day where we can kind of all dig into stuff like that. But it is now time for the main course, for the big reason that we're on here tonight, the Pac-12 championship. Las Vegas, Nevada, the big Roomba in the desert. Oregon Ducks, number 5. Number 3, Washington Huskies. Bo Nix versus Michael Penix Jr. We were incorrect on this, Cottrell, in that most people will vote on the Heisman after this game tonight. The Heisman votes do not have to be in. So I do think either one of these guys are capable of either maybe nailing it down, depending how you look at it, or maybe possibly stealing it back. This is what you waited for all year, Alex. You get your second crack. Sometimes you don't. You guys held serve after the first loss and clawed your way all the way back here. I'm going to let you go first for obvious reasons.
Of course, we got to let Alex go. I just want to comment on the Heisman thing just before it slips my mind here. So, yes, we were wrong there, but they sent out the ballots after last week's game, so people could have already turned in their ballots. They're not due until after conference week. So I know Brian Kelly's been lobbying for Jaden Daniels, things like that. And some people might have already put him on the ballot, or if they voted for Bo, they may have already put him on the ballot. So just kind of want to clear that up for everybody too. But I'm sure Alex is about to tell us why Bo's about to submit himself in that Heisman Trophy standings.
Yeah. Give us the breakdown, Alex. Go ahead, dig in, do your thing.
I was so pumped and ready. Cottrell just had to jump in there. Look, man, I'm so happy for this rematch. Over-unders at 66.5. They're expecting a little bit more defense this time around. Oregon's got the 9.5-point spread, which even as a Duck fan, that seemed a bit steep at first. And then I dove into the numbers. And, that number, I think, is exactly where it's at for a reason. And we're going to dive into that real quick. Bill, you said that we had to scratch and claw our way back into this game. But realistically, we've won the last 4 of our last 5 games by 23 points more. So it really hasn't been too much of a challenge. Now, going into this game, we're 10-point favorites for a reason. Michael Penix Jr. has not been on his A game recently. Only less than 60% completion in 3 of the last 4 games. He has had an interception in 5 of his last 7. Before that, he only had 2 interceptions on the season. He is not making good choices. The defenses are double teaming Odunze and making Polk beat them on the outside. Last week, Polk was held to 1 catch, and I expect Oregon to kind of have a similar defensive mindset as Washington State did last week while double teaming Odunze and forcing Michael Penix to make some decisions. Bo Nix, what else can I say? He's the Heisman front runner for a reason. But today, I think the real golden boy is going to be Bucky Irving. Washington's defense is by far the most suspect against the run, allowing 34 and a half yards per game, good for 5th worst in the Pac-12. Oregon Ducks are the number 2 rushing offense in the game, averaging 45 points per game. I don't see, like I said, the 10-point spread looks good to me because, like I said, Oregon was a better team last time around. Some questionable play calling. We were okay with the 4th down choices the first time around. Just maybe change up some play calls. And then again, a missed field goal kept us from going into overtime in that game. We all agree that Oregon's the better team, and I think this is where they finally show it, and they lock themselves into that college football playoff spot.
Kachal, you want to go?
Yeah, sure, I'll go. First off, I'll say this: I got Oregon win the football game. That 9.5, I think, was very disrespectful, and I think Washington saw that. Now, of course, you could see how they played last week against Washington State. I fully expected that to happen. That's why I picked Washington State as my super dog last week. I knew this Husky team was looking ahead. They knew Oregon was on the other side of the week, and that was going to be the game that determined everything. And so I wasn't surprised they came out rather flat against that Washington State team. Now, you talk about them double teaming Odunze. I do think that that's a possibility, but let's not forget that Jalen Polk can have a lot of success as well. Like, I understand that he was held to a few catches last week, but Jalen Polk is probably a top 10 receiver in college football, in my opinion. Top 10, top 15. Jalen Polk is a guy that can take over a game. He's going to be He's going to be in the top 3 rounds in next year's draft. And, I fully expect Jalen Polk to be a difference maker in this game. And the other thing, too, is that Oregon doesn't have a corner that can slow down Odunze. So you saw it in the first game. He definitely had his way with that secondary. And with this game as well, it's in Las Vegas. It's inside. I think you're going to get pretty much the exact same game that you got the first time, but Oregon's going to be on the other side of it. I think when it comes down to it, Bo Nix is going to lead that Oregon Ducks team 35-35, and it's going to be, Hollywood-esque, because I believe the score last time ended up being 38-35. And so I got Oregon coming out on the right side. Bo Nix leading his team down there. Kicker makes the field goal, rewrites the story. And, I got Oregon finding their way in the playoff unless the committee does something slimy because Alabama beats Georgia.
All right. We can't get into scenarios. We won't.
I'm just saying that's the only way they don't get in, though. The committee slime balls. Yeah,
I will say this, and trust me, tune back in tomorrow morning because scenarios will be a huge part of tomorrow's show. We're gonna have a lot of fun with it. So this is what we're gonna do. This is the way I look at the game. I think I said what I said, and I was very confident, and I still believe that. So I'm not flip-flopping here. I think Oregon's a better football team. And I said it, with conviction after they lost against Washington. Like I said, we came on the show and, both shows, and I said, very straightforward. I actually feel better about Oregon now than I did before the game. And that's a weird thing to say after a loss. I think Dan Lanning got outcoached in the first game, and I don't think that'll happen tonight. I think in a conference championship game, especially early in the game, you put points on the board, and I think he learned that lesson the hard way. I don't think he'll do it again. I do believe Bo Nix is going to outplay Michael Penix Jr. But that being said, I think Michael Penix Jr. is going to have a game tonight. I really do. The thing that concerns me is I think Washington is kind of, they can kind of rally around the fact that, they're sitting there and they're like, hey, we're undefeated and we're getting disrespected by everybody. Everybody's expecting Oregon to come in here tonight and beat our asses. If you're a Duck fan, that's something that would bother me a little bit. I think 9.5, just like Cottrell said, I think Oregon should be favored. I do. I think 9.5 is straight up disrespectful to Washington. To be 12-0, sitting here in this conference championship game, be 10-point favorites or 10-point underdogs on a team you beat on a neutral field now. This isn't like this game's in Oregon. It's on a neutral field. I think it's disrespectful. I think there's a lot of things Washington can hang their hat on and rally around here. And you know, we're talking about Washington State last week. A lot of people will tell you never want to be the second team to try to, you know, take somebody else's strategy. It worked for Washington State last week because I don't think Washington was expecting it. They've now planned for it this week. You can rest your soul. After they went through that game last week and snuck out of there and it didn't play well, they made adjustments that if Oregon's going to come out and double team or put a safety over top of a Dunze all game, they're going to have plays called for that now. So I do agree a little bit with Cottrell. I think you could double team him all you want. I think Polk and Giles Jackson and all those guys are more than capable of burning Oregon over the middle or taking short passes for big chunk plays. All that being said, I have the final score 36-31 Oregon, and I'm going to go with Cottrell on this as well. I think Washington holds the lead late in this game. I think Bo Nix gets the ball with about 3 minutes to go, takes him down the field, puts the ball in the end zone, wins the Pac-12, cements a college football playoff spot, and cements the Heisman Trophy for him. I'm staying with the Ducks just like I said I would at the beginning of the year, 36-31. I think Washington covers. I think the Ducks are your Pac-12 champions.
I think you need a Bo Nix 5-touchdown performance to submit the Heisman because Jaden's not playing. But I think I think he's getting the respect he's earned.
I think him being invited. Listen, I agree with you. I don't like that the Heisman is reflective, I guess, too much of what your team is because it's an individual award. That being said, I didn't change the criteria to make it what it was.
True.
So if that's how, like, I don't like when we make exceptions for like certain things because we feel bad for people. Like, I understand, you know, Jay and Daniels had a crazy year. He's on a 3-loss team. If Bo Nix goes out and has, I don't think Bo Nix needs to throw for 5 touchdowns tonight. I think if he goes out and throws for over 300 yards, they win. He throws for 3 touchdowns. That's enough for me. If I'm voting, I'm now voting for him. Like, the precedent's been set that you can't vote for a team that hasn't done well. I don't agree with that, but at the same time, then I'm going to vote for the guy that has the best numbers on the most successful team. Bo Nix will get my vote.
I want to hear from you because I know you're the Jaden Daniels guy. You had him top 5 preseason, but Bo Nix is your guy. I know you're going to ride with him, but what's your take on it?
Okay. If it was about the best player in college football, it would be Jaden Daniels. If it was the best leader of the best team in college football, it would be Bo Nix.
It'd be Carson Beck in that case. But
yes, you can't say leader because that brings in a whole different category of player.
Well, no, actually, I believe Bo Nix is the best leader in college football. He sits in on coaches' meetings. I mean, this dude is all business all the time. Like, this dude,
my problem with that is, especially the quarterback position, you're bringing a lot of guys into that discussion now.
You got Riley Leonard and
just but their stats aren't. Their stats don't get them in that echelon. Come on now.
I get it. Keep it simple. Just keep it simple.
Jaden Daniels has the best stats in college football. Plain and simple. If it goes to that, he should win. But Bo Nix is getting the credit. So
I was on the Bo Nix. I was on the Bo Nix train. I saw a stat and it kind of sold me a little bit. It said Johnny Manziel had 3 losses the year he won it, and Jaden Daniels' numbers are better than what Johnny's was that year. And I'm like,
See, I hate that
is also a precedent.
Marcus Mariota and Bo Nix. Bo Nix is absolutely thrashing Marcus Mariota's numbers.
Here's the difference with Johnny, though. Johnny had a hype train behind him.
He did.
That was unbelievable. And here's the big thing. I think they finished 8-3. Johnny won the biggest game of that year for them, though. Johnny beat Alabama. Jaden Daniels does not have that win. Sorry, I hate to say it, he just doesn't.
That's true.
1,000 yards in one game, and they still lose by 10.
Yeah, well, I get it, bro. Listen, I'm not arguing that logic because I argue it every goddamn Wednesday with Gene. I'm not doing it on this show. But it is. Listen, I am hyped for tonight. I am super hyped for tomorrow. Obviously, it's gonna be college football all day. I'll wake up with you guys. We're gonna do another kick-ass show at 10, and then it's just football all the way down to 8:00 when we kick off against Iowa. So I think in a weird way, I think it's great. I love everything about this show. I don't know how you guys feel. I feel like doing this show has actually made the college football season seemed like it went a lot faster this year.
Facts.
Oh yeah.
And it's a good thing because I mean I'm looking forward to doing the show with you guys every Saturday, but like I can't believe that like tomorrow night we're in the Big Ten championship game already. Like I feel like it's just a blur. So that being said, Alex, honestly, I wish you all the luck in the world. I hope you guys pull it off tonight.
Because you're gonna need it.
Man,
Cottrell just wants somebody on the sorrow boat with him, dude. That's all this is. Don't listen to him. Just block it out. Just block it out.
Negativity away from here, bro.
Yeah, misery loves company.
Brown reruns or something. I don't know.
Misery loves company. That's all he's looking for right now. He just wants somebody. He wants somebody on the sad canoe paddling around with him. That's all he wants.
Yeah, I can't do it, man.
Yeah,
I don't want on it. If any three of us were going to be on that boat, it was going to be me at the beginning of the year. I didn't expect to be still here, but here I am. All right.
I think me and Cottrell were very hopeful at some point. That,
we knew it was going to be one of us.
Yeah, like and Cottrell did too. I mean, we both agree. We just picked a different end. Obviously, I strongly felt either Ohio State or Michigan was going to run the table in the Big Ten. I think they're just both head and shoulders above everybody else, and they've both proven that. And I'll give Ohio State their credit. I think we never really got the Texas slip up that we usually get. And honestly, you guys standing pat and Washington not slipping up anywhere, all that stuff kind of hurt getting two Big Ten teams in. It really did.
Yep. But
again, I know we're about kickoff time here, so we will get into all that more tomorrow morning. Like tomorrow morning, we will obviously be recapping what happens tonight. We'll have our first two conference champions. We will talk about the impact of either an Oregon or a Washington win. We do have Eliminator. It's going to be my favorite one of the year. Sorry, but it's just going to be.
So you think?
Yeah, they're going, bro. I'll draw all over my computer screen. I don't care.
State.
Yeah, they're going.
He getting kicked out like Fresh Prince.
Yeah. And then we will have previews, pick them, and like I said, we're gonna get into scenarios as well because there's gonna be a bunch of fun ones, and we'll have a little bit of a head start depending on what happens tonight, obviously. So tomorrow's gonna be a really fun show. It is. It's gonna be informative, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of ball breaking. Cottrell might cry. You never know. Who knows? It could be a long Saturday. Alex, Alex might not even make the show. Let's just be honest. Like if they lose tonight, Alex might just drink himself and just snooze right through the show.
Oh, probably. I'll be here just passed out.
All right. But gentlemen, enjoy your evening. Enjoy the games.
See
Alex,
bright
again,
and early tomorrow.
Good luck, and we will see everybody back here at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Have a good night.
See you.